Hey guys, it's Core Ross, and today we're breaking down the Sisters in Arms cinematic that we seen for Rainbow Six Siege during the Six Invitationals that was just absolutely mind-blowing and brought us back to the counter-terrorism that I had missed so much in Rainbow Six Siege. Now, I've waited patiently to see if a high-res version of this ended up on the Ubisoft Press website that we could download and actually take a even better look at. But unfortunately it hasn't, so we're going to have to look at the YouTube compressed version, which of course looks like crap compared to what the original probably looks like. And this cinematic has been made by Digic Pictures. They have done previous CGI cinematic trailers and stuff like that for Rainbow Six Siege in the past. They've also done Extraction cinematics, Assassin's Creed cinematic, and Call of Duty Vanguard cinematic trailers as well. And I find it funny that they actually haven't posted anything on their Twitter since 2019. So let's jump in and start breaking this down, and hopefully we can get through it quite quickly, because I don't think there's anything like, especially with this quality, I don't think we can really get anything too detailed out of it, but we can take in the coolness of it all. So of course this focuses on Ela and Zofia, and I think the evolution of Ela in this is pretty cool. Now I'm an IQ fan over Ela, so it didn't quite have the same impact on me, but still loved it. And seeing counter-terrorism in action and with the Rainbow Six operators and the idea we might see more of that in the future was just the best. And very much returned me to my old days of playing the kind of first Rainbow Six games back in the day, doing all this kind of stuff, but not quite so cinematically. So yeah, we've got Ela sitting in the car here. Of course, this is the beginning of the trailer, but it also is the end of it as well. And then we cycle through into this really cool hostage situation in a docks. Now, this is before they join Rainbow Six, so I'm assuming this is in Poland. There's only a few locations this might actually be if it's based on a real place, because Poland only has one coastline, and that's it. So yeah, this could be either a real place or, of course, fictional, and she might not be in Poland as well. But yeah, we do see Ela strolling up, a bit more kind of casual, but obviously military, and it seems to be just her going in to rescue this hostage. And yeah, I love the fact that this is a counter-terrorism thing. It's really freaking cool to see Rainbow Six operators do that. And at this point in the trailer, you might actually not know, of course, this is Ela, because she looks nothing like Ela as we know her. And if I had to guess, I would have thought this was Zofia. But then what we see is her actually throw out Ela's gadget, and it's like, so that is what's going on here. And then it immediately detonates, takes out the entire group, so the range on it is pretty impressive. And then she just starts taking out all of these guys. Now notice this guy here, leather jacket, sunglasses, kind of a red coloured shirt. You're going to see him again later. So this guy actually gets shot in the stomach basically, and he goes down. Now I thought when I first seen this, I didn't think there was going to be any blood, but they do actually go on with blood. So anyway, picks up the hostage. This reminded me of Ghost Recon. I don't know which game it was, but it's one where they had that stupid diamond formation. And this reminded me of that, even though, of course, she's not in diamond formation or anything. But it's the same kind of setting. If I remember right, that mission took place in a very similar place with like these cargo containers and stuff. And this is just, it gives me flashbacks to it. And then in this engagement, we do actually see blood. Like I say, I was kind of surprised. Obviously, in Siege gameplay, we get it, but usually in cinematics and stuff, we're looking at non-lethal stuff these days. But here we go with a big narrative shift. And then we get this really cool gunfight where it basically is like John Wick and some Black Widow combined. And then look who it is. The guy she shot earlier is back. Leather jacket, exact same red shirt, and his sunglasses. So they just reused this guy in this scene. And yeah, then Ela gets all over him. This guy's still armed as well, by the way. He still has a gun in his hand. But she takes out another assailant and then follows up by taking out him right afterwards. Looks like he almost gets her though. Like that gun got pretty close to pointing right at her. And then Ela finally gets some backup as we see some car headlights coming in to take out this guy. And of course it ends up being Zofia. And at this point, basically both of them do look like sisters. And obviously very similar kind of hair and stuff like that. So yeah, and it's kind of weird seeing Zofia without her usual sunglasses. And then we get this incredible shot of Ella with like just that cinematic quality that is amazing. Of course, everyone always asks, why don't they make a Netflix TV show or stuff like that? And unfortunately, their license doesn't cover that. They can only do game stuff. And stuff like this has to be free. They can't pay for it. They can't have you actually be paid to get any of it. So they can't do that. Now, they can do it with Division and probably Splinter Cell or stuff like that, because those are original IPs by Ubisoft. But Rainbow Six is a Tom Clancy IP. And back in the day, Tom Clancy did sell his entire license off to Ubisoft, but it was stipulated that it was going to be games only for the existing IPs. Then we get another shift. And at this point in the trailer, I was like, I can't believe what I'm seeing here. This is like proper tactical stuff going on. The only problem I do have here is they're not in Rainbow Six yet. So this isn't really seeing Rainbow Six do counterterrorism, which is a bit of a pity. Like if this had maybe been like a joint mission before they joined Rainbow, and maybe there was a few operators here from Rainbow Six, that'd have been just a little bit cooler. But certainly we see these Polish special forces going up, and they seem to be heading to like some sort of drug lab or something, and it just looks amazing. It's kind of weird as well, because I now relate stuff like this to Ready or Not, which obviously is going to go after the kind of police side of stuff, and it very much has the same aesthetics, whereas Rainbow Six these days doesn't have those kind of vibes with me anymore, whereas it did back in the day. So kind of weird to watch it and think more Ready or Not than obviously Rainbow Six, but great to see Rainbow Six going back this way. Then we have a bunch of bad guys doing drug-based stuff, and this of course gives me Ghost Recon vibes because of, cinematic trailers like that in the past. Now at this point, Zofia and Ella are in the military. So I do wonder what's going on here, because is this a counter-terrorism thing? Is these guys linked to terrorism with the drugs, or is this more of an anti-crime thing with the drugs? Because obviously that'd be more like police force potentially doing that rather than military, which obviously Zofia and Ella are. But of course we don't get anything kind of deeper than that out of this, so we can never be sure. Then we get our first look at Ella in this sequence, and it's very freaking cool to see her with her blonde hair. Now this links back directly, I think, and I don't know if they did this deliberately, to the very first leak of Ella where she had blonde hair, and it was an in-game shot that leaked out of her still in development. And I just, when I seen her with the blonde hair here, I totally went straight back to that old leak, and very cool. So then her and her teammate actually get up against this door, and then it wasn't until actually coming to do this breakdown that I realized that Ella and Zofia are here breaching from two different doors into this area, which is very cool, and I just did not realize both of them were involved in this. I thought this was just like Ella and her squad, but we flick over to another scene where we see Zofia pulling out her gadget, and that is really cool, and she's preparing to breach a different door in a different corridor. And then we transition back to the car where she's talking to Callie, and then we flick back to the breach, and what we see is Zofia breaching the door with her impact grenades and blowing this door open. Then Ella kicks the door and enters from her side. Now, of course, this goes, more movie-like than realism, as Ella just like leaps in, absolutely mental, flying through the air, shooting as she goes. Doesn't ask anyone to surrender or anything, just like no rules of engagement here. She's just blasting everybody. Old school TV as well, which makes me wonder when this was set. And yeah. And we have a very cool, bit here where she's lying on the ground shooting back at, enemies that may or may not be shooting at her. And she doesn't have her goggles on, just like they're on the helmet. Perfect time to probably wear them. But anyway, it looks amazing, very cinematic, very, very cool. And then Zofia and her team breach in from our side. It's very hard to tell who Zofia is. I do like the fact that they took away Zofia's glasses, obviously, for emoting when she's doing more talking scenes, but I wish she'd actually had Zophia's glasses on in these scenes, just got can get a bit better identification. Otherwise, she just looks like anybody else. But yeah, Zophia's team breach in, I assume from a different side or a different room, and then someone pulls out a knife and attempts to go after Zofia, and Zofia just shoots him in the freaking leg, just above the knee, and then takes him down. So that is pretty cool. And yeah, so all these guys get arrested. They obviously have a lot of money and drugs, and like I say, could well be doing something terrorism based as well, but who knows. Then we flick over to the even more movie centric car chase that happens next, where it is just mental. And this is where we get some cool context for stuff. So we suddenly see Ella's now in her elite uniform, and this just gives the elite uniform a little bit more depth to it than it did before, which is really freaking cool. And Zofia is actually sitting in the back with a C75 Auto, which of course is usually a gun used by, say, Vigil. So yeah, very cool to see her using something else. Again, it is kind of interesting because I do wonder, are they in Rainbow Six now? Like, are they actually, because at this point we've kind of caught up timeline-wise with their outfits, that they definitely could be actually in Rainbow Six now and potentially doing Rainbow Six stuff, or they're still in Poland, still in the Polish military. But what is happening here, which is interesting, is they are being chased. They're not chasing these guys. These guys are chasing them. So I wonder what exactly they're after in this scene. And I do wish I just had a bit more depth to it all and understanding. But what is curious here is one of the bad guys has a red mask on. Now, of course, when Rainbow Six Siege launched, they had the bad guys, which were the white masks. And I do wonder if this is a tease of potentially a new terrorist organization that might be called the Red Masks, for instance. But maybe not, because this entire bunch of dudes gets absolutely annihilated by the C75 Auto, and Zofia just takes them all out. Then we get this really cool shot off the back of Ella's car, and it is Ella's car too. She owns this because she has a custom plate on it which says Ella Too Fast, which is brilliant. And I think she's a character that would easily fit into the Fast and Furious franchise for sure. So yeah, that is kind of the end of all the action stuff. We get some real cool shots of Ella. Obviously at this point, her and her sister are still working together very well, which makes me think her father has not yet died, which also means that they have not yet joined Rainbow Six. And then we cut to the back seat. We've obviously got Zofia, which then cuts into Zofia being in her elite uniform, giving that again more context. Although she appears to have a different rank here than she normally has, and she's got 4 stars on her hat there. Now, as far as I can tell, Ella is not at the funeral. Looks like she went to the shooting range instead. Obviously, with this kind of quality, we can't be entirely sure, but I don't think there is an Ella standing in the back. We do see a woman with blonde hair, but obviously right now Ella's got green hair. So yeah, and whatever kind of went down here with the death of their father ended up breaking these two sisters completely apart. Went from being a really good team to obviously now being kind of enemies in a way. So yeah, kind of sad. And the CGI work here obviously in this is just incredibly cool. So very cool to check it all out. And yeah, it gives more context to that elite uniform for Zofia, which just adds depth to the characters, which I like. Now at this point, of course, it's been focused on Ella and Zofia and not the greater Rainbow Six, and also I'd say Easter egg wise relatively low at the moment. But then we move over to our kind of simulated combat that we've seen a lot with Rainbow Six, and Lion gets to just make an appearance and get shot to pieces as he gets taken out by Ella. Then we have what I think is probably Zofia impacting the wall right next to Ella with her primary gadget. And of course, we got Ella collapsing to the floor. And then they both shoot at each other through the soft wall. And yeah, this is just like really freaking cool. Very, very cool. And then it ends up in this crazy fight where I think Zofia actually gives in a little bit, where she doesn't need to. I think Zofia's winning it, but she ends up letting Ella win. But we get this shot here that's really interesting. So of course, first of all, they've taken away the glasses that Zofia normally has on so that we can see her emotions better. But what's interesting here is this also connects in with a leak. So the previous Ella with blonde hair seems to link in with a leak that we'd seen before she came out. This is a leak of Zofia before she was released, which has a rank on her hat. Now, that rank isn't present on the released version of Zofia, and obviously the elite one has a different rank. Now, in Polish military, 4 stars seems to be captain, although they don't seem to have that white thing, the white line at the bottom, so I don't know entirely. I'm definitely not confident on it. But it's weird that this cinematic ends up having her with a rank from the leaked version rather than the live version, which is unusual. It could well be that the reference material they actually gave for Zofia for the cinematic to the company could have been from the original sketches and the original development stuff, and that is why she has the wrong rank on. It's possible that this is actually either a mistake or a little nod to that previous leak too, which would be unusual, but could be. And then, yeah, we head on to our conclusion fight between the sisters. And I think Zofia here is totally in control. And I think she actually has the opportunity to shoot Ella at one point. Now, maybe she was actually out of rounds at this point in her pistol, but it looked to me like she was going to win. Then she goes full Spartan kick, sends Ella through a soft wall, and then this is where Ella manages to get the upper hand with her gadget, and we get even more fighting. And you can see that Zofia does point the gun at Ella, which makes me think it definitely was loaded earlier, and I think she could have had her. And then flipping flying jump punch at Zofia. Freaking brilliant. Very movie feeling, that's for sure. And yeah, we have this just big fight out, and then Ella just launches herself off. And I'm pretty sure Zofia would be dead here. Like, she just lands right on her head. She did. She did. But where the heck are they? It looks like they're actually outside of the map. Like, this isn't only a place that's used. This looks like it's a bit that's used for storage rather than actually part of the map itself. And it's very cool. I don't know if this is a basement area or what, but it's interesting to look at. And it looks like there's a lot of like potentially bits on rails and stuff. And this looks more like access points for staircases to like come down and do this. And, you know, obviously there's bits of furniture and stuff. It looks to have been blown down here potentially in previous battles. I'm not sure. But then Ella gets the upper hand and Zofia is basically the loser here. And again, no glasses. I don't know if that was the right choice. I don't know. Like, I definitely get more emotion out of Zofia, but also the glasses kind of is part of her look. Then we get this outside shot where the battle has ended. And obviously we've got on the left our Rainbow Six operators. And these are the ones that are still in Rainbow Six. So of course, from left to right, we've got Ella, Lion, Thatcher, Mira, Zero, and Zofia. And then on the right, we actually have Callie, IQ, Wamai, Finka, and Pulse. And yeah, this is kind of a split. And we've been told that they are actually leaving Rainbow Six. So the ones on the right have literally left Rainbow Six. And I have been waiting a very, very long time to see IQ in a cinematic. And this is the first time we see IQ in a cinematic, and she's way off in the back. But yeah, this moves on to Ella leaving and leaving her sister behind. And of course, Rainbow Six as well. And we don't know where the hell this is going. Not a clue what this is going to lead to. Hopefully it leads to a cool story that we actually get to witness over the year. I'm not exactly confident, but I hope to see it. Because obviously up until now, not the best storytelling. But then we see Ella walking off here to her new group. And what I found really odd about this when I freeze framed it was Finka on the right hand side looks tiny. I don't know if it's just the positioning or the lens being used here, but she looks so small. And I did look it up. Ella and Finker are about the same height, but Zofia is taller. And in the previous scene, Ella and Zofia are the same height. So they probably not got the heights correct for all operators here, but I just think Finker looks tiny. She looks so small, but maybe she is. And then, yeah, we end with obviously back in the car again, just like we started with Ella and Callie talking about it. Of course, Callie there in her like a battle pass ever she had in her previous battle pass, all very well linked together. I gotta say, they really did well with the cosmetics for sure here. And then we go back to the back seat where we see Smoke removing his gas mask and we get that face reveal. And then, yeah, we have a face for Smoke. And will that be in the Battle Pass or something in the future? We will find out, I guess, when the new season launches. Now, I'm just going to tag on the end here something from the cartoon released for the Demon Veil launch, which shows Azami getting into a big fight with a whole bunch of bad guys, and she ends up with a cartridge at the end, which has QCR on the bottom of it. This is Nighthaven's actual R&D and kind of like construction company and stuff. So the bullets that were used against Azami and the man she was with were actually made by Nighthaven. So we're kind of getting that big undertone that Nighthaven is a bad guy, and of course we've got some of our operators potentially working for the bad guys. And obviously we have no idea how the hell this is going to play out in any way right now, but obviously there is some sort of storyline they're trying to build up here, and we might see something from all of this come together this year to, I guess, potentially wrap up the Nighthaven story this year, or kind of kick it off. We'll see. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Of course, this hasn't been the best of breakdowns here. We couldn't take all the details out or anything like that with the YouTube compression version, but it's really cool to have a good look at this, and I learned a lot more about this just by going through it step by step than I did before, so I'm really happy I did. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.